Okay, this is a new video on taking a chainsaw apart, and I've got my tripod set up, so I guess important thing to see is the saw, not me. So we're gonna, probably the longest video I've ever done. We are gonna do a disassembly, and we're not going to do any fast forward. And so I've got bags over here, and I'll put parts in bags, which big parts, big bags. And I try to keep the different correlating screws and parts in the bags where I know they're going to be. So the clutch cover and the guide plates all going to go together. Chain and bar will go off by itself. Don't need it. Let's see. That's not my 5/16. My 5/16 is sitting up here. I'll take the spike off. And it'll need a little bag. So, didn't get so far yet, but coming along. This is the XL-113 that everybody wanted to see restored. And I wish I had that Joe had the decals for the 104 and 114. That would be nice too. But c'est la vie. So far, no go, no joy. He thought he might be able to start on that pretty soon on those other decals, and maybe mid-November, he said. But you know what? After the 5th, we don't know what's going to happen. The whole country could burn. We don't know. I know, win or lose, it's going to be bad. Bad. Well, whoever wins and whoever loses, it's going to be bad. I can tell you that. The news says that half the country is going to be in a mental health crisis if one candidate wins, and the other news channel says, well, if this candidate wins, they're going to be rioting in the streets. So a poor old guy like you and me, most of us, don't stand a chance, because that's just not the way it works. I don't know why, but it doesn't work for us. Not generally. Oh, this has got one of those pins on it. Well, doggone it. Alright, well, let's loosen this and say that this will come out. Sometimes I think about making a video on an opinion about things, and doesn't seem like anybody's opinion is worth anything these days. Most of the country, a big part of it, people just want to work and be left alone, but that's not how it's been going for a while. We got people demanding this and demanding that, and I don't know what else. So when I was a kid, about the time I demanded something, I'd get whopped upside the head, as probably most of you all do too. So we never got to demand a whole lot. Now, this is the parts for the support bracket and handle, and it's got all the rubber and the plate. Let's see, did I get the plate? Should be in here. Yeah, the metal plate. See, it has a two-part deal. It's the rubber, and then underneath of it, or on top of it, is another metal plate. So it's, and then it has a rubber washer underneath the handle as well, underneath the bottom. So that is all the handle parts. Okay, again, we'll bag and tag this. These will get cleaned up bag by bag and painted bag by bag. I wonder if I got any fuel in this. I don't know, it's hard to say. Might be a little. Probably don't want fuel in it. Well, I'll stuff a bag down, or a paper towel down here, like a wick. Hope I don't smoke, but looks like a perfect Molotov cocktail. Now, there we go. Ooh boy, look at that. That looks a little dirty. That's okay. We're gonna take the little ring off. These are a pain in the rear to get off. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can get up underneath of this one. Here we go. Now that's that it. Yeah. Might have to take a little screwdriver, as hard as these are to get off. Even harder to get on without scratching the paint. I don't think I've ever had one that's quite this hard. I'll try to see if I can't get it off from the back side. Okay. There we go. I think I'm getting it. There we go. Well, I said this is going to be a long video. I'm not going to be any joking about that. If I can't get this little ring off. Yeah, this is going real good. Guess I need to. I almost had it. I had to let go of it. Alright, we'll get down here on it. Okay. Okay. There we go. Well, finally. That's the little booger. That's one of the harder things to take off on this saw. That and some of the tank screws. Now, on these well, now then we can work on the stuff that really matters. I took up a good amount of time working on a little. Guess I could have done that separately another time, but I think you could see how tedious that taking that ring on is, and it's not much easier getting it back on. I mean, it isn't. It's a real pain getting it back on. Well, it's not so bad, but as long as you don't want to scratch the paint. Oh, didn't get the right plug wrench. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull the plug, and then I'm going to put a cord down in it to block the piston from moving, so I can pull the clutch off. Well, that's got a nice new plug. I'm going to save that one. Better save that one. You're going to want to hold on to that one, as Dumb and Dumber say. But, I don't know. For a lot of you guys that maybe haven't done this before on these saws, it took me a long time to figure out how to get these apart and back together all at the same time. There's a lot of pieces, and what I had to do is I had to take it apart and put it back together a bunch, because I'd get it almost put it together, and then here's this little piece laying there that went in where I had to take the saw a good amount apart, so that sucked. Now we're working on this Reed style muffler, getting it off, and I want to coax it off a little bit, a little at a time. There we go. Just about got it. You just have to be patient on this. Okay, there we are. Now we'll get need a nice little Ziploc for the muffler, because I want to put the entire muffler and all the bolts and screws in one bag. This is a brand new old stock muffler, so I'm going to want to keep it nice and not dirty. You don't find these like this new old stock hardly at all. I gathered up a bunch of new old stock stuff, like fuel gas, quart gaskets and oil gaskets and the like that, and a whole bunch of rings. I probably have 100 sets of rings, and probably won't ever use them. I probably have a dozen good cylinders, and I collected I saved up, got a whole bunch of those little duckbill valves, and then there's a little piece of aluminum rod looking thing that the duck valves go in, and I found a source for those so I could replace those. And some of the fuel caps and oil caps had a little rod in them, and then the duckbill went behind them, and getting those out intact is almost impossible. And then so I got a thing where I found a rod of something I could cut up and use intact and use. But one of the tough things, the only thing I've really had trouble really finding on, I collect all these 1965 auto oilers, direct drive auto oilers, 1965 and later auto oiler direct drives. I've got a couple of manual oiler saws, and all of them are direct drives, but mostly all automatic oilers with manual overrides. But the big saw, like the 1130, I don't know if it's the 1130 or the 1120. One of them has a tube, like a vacuum tube that comes from the cylinder up into the air box. And that tube is almost impossible. Well, I haven't found it yet. And I've tried to use a piece of big thick Tygon, but the problem is that the Tygon's soft enough that when you make the bend from the cylinder up into the air box, it collapses the tubing. So what I've had to do is take a smaller tubing and put inside the Tygon, and that way it doesn't kink. But I'd sure like to find that size of tubing, and I'm still going to be on the hunt. So anyway, I've got this. I've got the cylinder locked down with the rope inside there. Now I'm going to pound this on a little bit, and these clutches they come off. They come off lefty tighty, not righty tighty. So I'm going to act like I'm tightening this, when in actuality I'm going to be loosening it. And I may have to get my, I think I may have to get my cheater bar. I probably could have forced it, but well, that cheater bar doesn't work on this. Wonder why. Did I have another cheater bar? It don't. Well, let's try to do it anyway. Let's try to. There we go. That wasn't bad. So this is a clutch, and what I'll do is, you know, when you get onto these things like this, there's an assembly that this goes. And sometimes these manuals, when you're looking at a parts manual, it's not easy figuring out how something goes together by the parts manual. I know if you've ever done much taking apart or putting together anything, whether it's a chainsaw or an office chair or an IKEA table, you can bet you know that the parts manual isn't helpful. So here we go. We have the clutch, seems to be in good shape, and I have a whole bunch of extra shoes. I don't know why. This probably could use cleaned up, but it's in good shape. And then we'll put on a new rim sprocket, and then finally it has a washer on the back. So what I do with that is I'll just take me a little bread twisty tie, and I'll hook it all together, and then that way I know which way it goes back, in what order. because like I said, I can I'm to the point where I can do this without doing this, but this makes it kind of easy, and there's no mistakes. So there's the whole clutch assembly on how it goes back in. Let's see, we'll go ahead and take off the starter cover and see what we find underneath here. That'll be a 1/4 inch. I've got one of those somewhere. I think that's it. Yeah, 1/4 inch drive. I found a company that sold the number 12 by 24 thread bolts, which a lot of these older saws use 12/24s. And I bought them in 2 sizes. One size like 5/8, the other one like 1.25 inches. And so when I need a 12 by 24, I can cut down an 1.25 inches and down to I can cut down a 5/8 into a 3/8 or a 1/2 inch length. So having those 12/24s in available to get back, because they just absolutely, you're going to pay $2 or $3 a piece for them on eBay for the same, basically the same screw. Well, it is the same screw. It'll have the slotted. All these screws on these saws on this age are hex head slotted with a little built-in washer, and that's what I bought, so I wouldn't have to pay $1, $2, $3, $4 a screw. I just have to cut them off and kind of dress them on the end. What I'll do is usually take a couple of 12/24 bolts and or nuts and put them on there before I cut it off, and then work them off and on, and then dress them up a little bit with a wire wheel. So here we have the starter cover. Oh, it's not too bad inside there, is it? It is not. So we'll set the starter cover and the bolts going over here. Oh boy, let's see. Well, we're going to pull that, and then we're going to take a little hammer and we're going to knock the lock on the switch down. There's a little locking tab that goes up, and probably got a lot of overkill on the size of this wrench, but here we go. There we are. I think that's a 5/8 actually on here, but you can't hardly get a wrench on here. And I'll keep this switch along with the coil and everything. So I'll put that nut back on here, and then that tab that was bent up, I'm not going to bend it down all the way. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to leave it up a little bit. That way, the least amount that you can bend that tab. They give you a second one in case that first one breaks off. So I try not to bend that one down too much. Right there, you can see it's still bent up. And I'll set that right there for now. Okay, I think we're about ready to start doing the carburetor. Yeah, we'll take the carburetor and then we'll take the flywheel. I don't know if you can notice it, but I ordered a bunch of these fuel barbs, the little smaller fuel barbs from Tillotson to use with these Tigons, and that worked out real well. All right, I'm going to pull my little copper brass cotter pin that goes on the choke. I got a few of those extra as well because, and they're copper or brass. They're made out of a certain material just because if they get accidentally sucked into the carburetor, they won't destroy the cylinder. Okay, this one has a deflector shield, and it didn't have when I got it, and I found some aftermarket, or I don't know if aftermarket, but some new old stock deflector shields that they just go on there like so. The other ones were probably not like that. I think that this choke rod was in here backwards. I think it should have gone that way. So anyway, now then, we need to take the, I'm going to loosen the idle screw. They use like a plumber's putty on the threads on this so it doesn't come undone. So sometimes if you see some stuff, don't clean it off. That's part of the deal. And we're going to go ahead and pull the mixture screws, loosen those. And I can pull those out. And I used to tape and mark those needles low and high because the one is much longer than the other one. But I don't mark them anymore. I know where they go, but if you to pull these apart and you're not completely sure, you can mark them with a little piece of tape with an L and H on them, or you can just refer back to one of the. I keep all these manuals. I probably have hundreds of chainsaw manuals. That's the high, and it's high. It's long. That's your high speed, and the high speed is the long one, and the shorter one is the low speed needle. And so I'm keeping this in a pile. I'm getting ready for a baggie for the parts for everything that goes in the air box will go in one baggie. That way I know where it all goes. So far that's good. We'll pull this is a 5/16, and I wish I had a type of ratchet wrench that would fit on these. And if they made a 5/16 ratchet that would go onto these, I'd love it, but I haven't found one yet. I haven't looked too hard, but a little ratcheting wrench on this size would be kind of sweet. That top one I can get to with a screwdriver. But that bottom one, it's a no-go. Okay, now then we have that, and then we'll try to. I keep trying to do it by hand. Say, well, I got it loose enough to do it by hand, but then I try to, and I can't quite get my fingers in it to move it. And maybe I can get it now, yeah. Okay, I think that one's off. And I'll take a little screwdriver and I'll get this fuel line off. Did we get that off? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, when I get this out, I'll show you that fuel barb. Wow. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay. So yeah, there's that little fuel barb, and I'll show you a big one. I think I have one. Most of these used a fuel barb like this. I don't know if you can see that. You can see how wide that is, and versus this. And the reason why is the old factory fuel lines were molded at the ends, of both ends, to fit the fuel barb and the filter. But we can't find any of those, and if you do, they're all rubbery anyway. So I order these from Ireland, from Tillotson, and they fit on my Tygon. And then I ordered a bunch of grommets that the Tygon goes through and keeps that tight, so that I don't have to use the molded fuel line. So there we are. All right, now then, we're going to try to take the handle off of this. A lot of times this is one of the trickiest parts, is getting this handle off, because they have run this on here so tight. Wow, that came off. Wow. Lucky day. I have bought and taken the chisel and hit them until I had to chisel them off on here, and I've had, because somebody's taken Loctite or something on them. This wasn't just hand screwed. I know that some of these saws I've had, every screw was Loctited on. Okay. All right. Now then, what's holding this up is this bracket right here that holds the compression release. All right. So we'll take our 5/16 wrench and we'll pull these. And these are a pain in the butt to put on, these compression release onto the spring. Oh, that is a real pain, especially if you don't want to try scratching up the saw. It gets to be bad. Let's see if I can't get a regular screwdriver on that. There we go. Okay. So there's 4 of these in the right side of the air box, and 2 of them hold the spring on the rod, and 2 of them hold this oil line and the compression release rod. So we're going to take those off as well. We're taking this puppy apart. So this whole bracket will come off, and that piece goes over top of a second piece. So this goes like this. The top one would be for the bracket for the rod for the compression release, and the bottom one would be for the oil line. And you don't want to lose those screws. Oh, and you don't want to lose this either. That is the little rod of the that's the spring for the throttle compression deal. And I've lost those and then had to buy new ones. Well, I know I had the rest of those somewhere. Huh. Well, I'm just missing one screw. Oh, there we go. There we go. So we got 2 screws, 2 nuts, and 2 plates. Bada bing, bada boom. Somewhere. All right. So we're looking for, oh, there's the 2 plates, okay. There we are. And more parts in the baggies. This really makes it kind of simple. Just bagging them and tagging them. I'll put the carb in this other bag. I'll go through that carb again. I think I just rebuilt this carb. If that's an SD1, SDC one. Yeah, I think this is one I've rebuilt because it has this smaller fuel barb on it. And I only had one of those left until I got my order yesterday from Ireland, from Kerry Island, Ireland. Okay, so we still have a couple. Let's see. There's a rod and there it goes. Ah, there we go. Now then, we have a couple more 5/8ers on this spring. Okay. Those were on good and tight. It a couple of days ago, it finally got to where it was cooler around here, and I mean cooler in the 70s. And prior to that, it had been in the mid to high 90s until just 3 days ago. And we haven't had any rain for 2 months. So we've got a drought situation with cows. But something that we've had before. A lot of people are always yelling about climate change, but I notice that most of the people that really are all weirded out about climate change aren't anywhere near the climate. They're not outside people. They're inside people. They don't work for a living. They sit behind and shuffle papers. Most outdoor people know that I've been here 35 years. There isn't one year that's the same. It's hotter, it's cooler, it's rainier, it's not. It's always different. But when you work inside and you listen to the news and it becomes just blah, blah, blah over and over again, it kind of stops affecting you of what it's really like, because you can make it from the office to the car to the house. But, you know, for guys like me, we're out here whether it's 4 below or 110, you know, and there are a lot of guys like me. I'm not the only one, but we know that every year is different. This is not I mean, the climate has changed throughout history, even before man was ever around. So now then, bad news. I have, oh, there we go. That one goes in here. I have misplaced, oh, there it is right there. I said I misplaced one handle screw, but it found its way into the bracket bag. I bought some extra one of these like handle screws. They go in a couple different places. So I like to try to keep them all together. I'll put this handle here and the screws here. Put that up there. And I think, all right, we'll put the rest of the carb parts in another bag. And here we have the trigger. That will pull this trigger off, and the all right, trigger is off. Trigger rod is out. This has got a nice new. Most of the time, you can use a steel throttle boot for these Homelite saws. Some you may have to take a little file and enlarge the hole a little bit, a round file, but a lot of these, like the 100 series, a steel boot, I don't know if this is one or not, but a steel boot will replace it. This is not a steel boot. Well, it might have been, but the boot's in backwards. for this saw, so that's a good idea. That way it doesn't encumber the crooked part of the rod. There we go. There we go. There's that might be an actual Homelite. That looks like an actual Homelite. Could be another brand, Husqvarna or not. What? I don't know. These rubber grommets on the air box will go back on a little bit easier with a little oil and warmed up a little bit. Right now they're hard, but I want to take all those off, including the there we are. Okay. There we are. And like I said, when you put these rubber boots back on, they need to be warmed and a little bit oiled or whatnot. Let's see. We'll go ahead and take this manifold off. Get in here with the. Okay. All right. I'm gonna loosen this, and then I'll take off the fuel line. Actually, we're gonna go back to the flywheel, so I have something to hold on to when I take the flywheel off. But we'll loosen the. I really don't like to get into a mess like this with all the tools, but it's just temporarily on the tear down. We'll loosen the oil line so this will come off fairly easy. But we'll go to the flywheel next. Okay. So if you don't have a flywheel puller, they sell a kit, and it would be a great advantage to have one. So I usually take a picture of these and to show what position they're in. Let's see, did I get, yeah, see, I'll have to go to this 44 minutes into it and look at it just to make sure. I always like to get these in the same position they came out of. And this is a 3/8. Sometimes you might have to use a socket on it, but we'll put these. I'll show you something else about these starter paws. They're called pawls, P-A-W-L-S. Get a baggie here for them. The starter paws are really smooth on the back side and sharp on the right here on this flat side. They're installed with the rounded side down and the sharp side on top. For anybody that, let's see. Okay, yeah, I got the washer, the spring, and when I put it back, I want to make sure that the spring is in the right fin. And sometimes they're not in the right fin. And sometimes the fins are broken. Sometimes the wire is broken, and it affects the starter immensely. These have washers underneath of the paws, and just plain flat washers. But many of these in the 100 had lock washers, and the end of the wire spring is wrapped around on some of these, and some of them are just straight. So I don't know why, but different. They were just different. So now we're down to, I need a 1/2 inch socket, and we're gonna go the right direction and try to take this flywheel off. Now I won't take it all the way off. I'll back it off a little bit, and then I'll put my okay, I'll loosen it a little bit, and then I'll put my puller on it so I won't damage the stud on here. I'll give it just a tad bit of recess, and that's probably not enough. I'll get a little bit more. There we are. So I want that nut to be backed off to where the this point is not going to damage my crankshaft. Okay, so now I drop that, I drop this, okay. I got it. All right. Okay. Now then, like I said, I've got tools scattered around here. I usually am kind of always keeping all the tools off one side, but since I'm making this video, I'm being messy, really messy. So I've got a couple of nuts on here that'll tell me about how far I need to go down into the flywheel to get enough meat, and that's probably enough. And I want these pretty level. Okay. All right. That one needs to come up a little bit. Okay. That looks okay. All right. Now, to pop the flywheel, I'm going to turn this. I'm going to try it with the crescent. Sometimes I'll use a pipe wrench or a regular wrench. And, wow, see now that one, if it doesn't come, don't try to just force it because you'll strip this thread out. Try to do this. When it gets as tight, before you get too tight, tap it a few times, and just a few times, and hit it a little hard, and then usually pop it right off. Okay, now I know I'm loose, but it won't come off because the nut's in the way. So I said this is going to be the longest video I've got, and it is because I'm already over 45 minutes, and which is unbelievable. But okay, so there's the nut, the washer, and I'll bag this one too. It'll get its own bag because I'm going to clean this up where it looks like it's new. There's the points and condenser. It all looks really good underneath there. Okay, now we're going to go back to the back side, and we're going to pull the oil lines and the oil pump and get it, and then we'll go back to the air box. As soon as I get these lines. Yeah, this could be a 1.5-hour video. It's probably more than anybody wants to see of me. I started a Facebook group. It was going pretty good, but I wasn't real happy there. I had a guy that was supposed to be making me some custom-made decals, and what I did was I bought a bunch of decals from Joe Salva, Sugar Creek Supplies, new decals, and I sent them to him, and then he ghosted me. Never heard from him, never could get a hold of him ever again. And I had another guy that promised to sell me a saw, and then kind of weird things happened. All of a sudden the saw had different pictures and it was crappy, and it was sold to another guy, and all of a sudden it was magically a good saw again. And then another time, the guy said he was going to sell me a saw. And he said, "Oh, you never sent me the money." It would have been pretty hard when you didn't communicate where to send the money or how much or anything else, and ended up with someone else. So, you know, a guy can do whatever he wants. That's up to him. But, you know, I mean, I probably had a choice of banning them and banning this other guy. But, you know, there's just too much of that crap on Facebook because these people, a lot of these guys aren't. You never know. You know, you're talking to someone online. You really don't know the guy that's in your foxhole, you know, until you've been in that situation where you have to depend upon a guy with your life, a guy that'll put himself in front of you. You don't know who these people are. They say they're upstanding guys, and they might very well, and a lot of them are. But whatever hobby you're in, if everybody's been in a hobby, you know that a lot of these people gravitate toward hobbies that are something for nothing and trying to get a freebie or something from you, a little extra, or screw you into that. And some of them are real obvious, and then others aren't. So I haven't been screwed very much at all. I've only bought one, maybe two saws out of 100 saws in the last 10 years have come from personal, where I picked them up, where I bought them in person. The rest of them I've had shipped off Facebook Marketplace from everywhere, Canada, everywhere. And in all that time, I think I got burnt, maybe sort of, twice, and both of them were on super easy saws. One, I bought two super easy saws that were supposed to be runners, and gosh, they weren't. And I didn't say anything. I took the loss. I made one good saw. And the other one, the guy had taken pictures, and either they were fake pictures or the pictures were real old. I don't know. But the pictures he sent me, boy, the saw was really nice. And when I got the saw, it wasn't. So he didn't want to call me back, you know, one of those ghosting things again. And I kind of finally ended up getting a hold of him, but in a weird way. I don't know if I really want to say how, but anyway, he made it right, apologized, but I sold another saw to a guy that was on the forum. It was a 1050 or super 1050, and I mean, it had some problems. About the only problems it had occasionally it wouldn't fire. You know, sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't. And so I wasn't really sure what it was, but I sold it cheap. I don't know, maybe under $200, and that's a 100cc saw. So I didn't think that was really a bad deal. And then I got the complaints. Well, you screwed me over on that saw. Well, dude, it needed work. You knew that. It wasn't like it was dead. I think I even gave him some extra parts for it. So anyway, somebody that wants something for nothing. That's a 1/4 inch. I'm gonna have to get another wrench. But, you know, I like to help people, and if I have extra stuff, people know I've given stuff to people whenever I could without charging them. If I can get something to someone and I don't need it and they need it, I'm happy to help. Well, let me think. I don't know what that one is. Not 5/16. Wonder what that is. It's an odd screw. It's not that one either. Not a 9/32. What the heck? No, it's not a 9/32. What is this one? That one's a 15/64, so I know it's not that. Where's my 1/4 inch? That's my 1/4 inch. That appears to be it. The only problem is I can't get it on here. can't get it on there. I don't know why. Let me see if I can't get it to... Okay, I think I might have... I didn't turn. This is on a worm drive. And I've never seen it not come off of here. Let's see. I've never seen the worm drive hold on like that. Okay. Huh. I do not know why that's not. Coming off the worm drive. There we go. Stuck. Here we are. Now we'll try the 1/4 inch if I can find it. What happens when you get all these tools around here? 1/4 inch is gone, isn't it? There's a 15/16. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, here it is, up here. Now we'll try to get this off of here. Well, you know what? There's no reason that has to be off. We'll put that in a baggie with the other oil line. Okay. I'm going to put that in a... Oops. All right. Oil pump screws. And alright, we'll put that in here and that in here. That won't go anywhere. Alright, now we can take the air box off. Air box off. And that means we have to take that off, loosen that. But before we take the air box, we're going to take the manifold off. And some of these are really on here, and if you haven't taken one of these off, it's always a good idea to check out these, because this has your reed valves, and a lot of times these reed valves can be stuck or damaged. It's damaged, stuck, rusted, broken, missing. I mean, I'm sure that some of them may break off and go down inside here, inside the cylinder. I mean, this video is gonna be like a 2-hour movie. I'm gonna get into this like a Netflix show. But the thing about it is, if you're doing any of these 100 series saws, this is almost exactly alike, except that this one has a compression release. A lot of them don't. And we're gonna pull this right here. Okay, so that's the manifold. It's got a washer on it right here. And now we're going to pull the reed valves. And this is what you have to be careful of, is that they try to get that out of here. Okay, that might have to wait till I get the air box off. It might be easier. So back to one screw down here to hold the bottom handle on. And I'll put all these. There's 5. That's like a, I want to say it's 5/8 or 7/8, and the rest of them are smaller. So there's 5 bolts that hold the air box on. They're all 12/24. On the later saws, like the 360s and 450s, they went to like one size. Almost all the screws are one size, one thread pattern, with different type of head. And it's more of a modern AV saw. I have the 350, the Canadian 350p, and which is a hard to find model in the States, and then I have the do I have a 360? I don't think I have one. I had a 360 SL. I sold it, but it has the 5 screws. You can see that the 4 on the top are a little bit shorter. They're maybe 5/8, the other one's 7/8. But I have the 450, the 550, and the 750, and they're all pretty much restored. And let's see, I think we're ready to pull the air box. Now, I want to try to save this. I have bought a lot of these extra gaskets. Let's see, we'll have to pull that, and we're okay there. Now, other than a few fittings here and the lid on the oil tank, which I'm not sure it's empty, so that gasket came off real good. It's not a problem. I'll see if this will fit down in here. Otherwise, I think I have a big one down here. Let me see, will it fit in that? Or does it have to be a gallon Ziploc? Probably a gallon Ziploc. Yeah, I save as many of these Ziplocs as I can. I haven't taken the pump off because I'll wait on that until I drain it and get it ready. So that'll all happen in the cleanup stages. So back to our reed valves. Now, this is okay. There we are. Okay, now you have to be real careful. Now look at all the sawdust in there. Look at that, folks. That's not good. That sucked a lot of sawdust. And one of the reasons is sometimes they don't seal this area right here with the grommet, and sometimes they just don't take care into sealing the they don't take good care in sealing the air box or cleaning the filter, the air filter. That's a lot of sawdust. I mean, I can see it on the inside of this saw. So if you save this video and you are into one of these saws and you're going to rebuild one or work on it, this video may help a lot. And if there's something I didn't cover, you can sure let me know, and I'll go over it with you. We're going to take the coil off. Now, when you put this coil back on, you're going to leave it loose. Put a card behind here. Circle the flywheel around to the magnet, and when that sucks up against the card on the magnet, then you're going to tighten the coil down, and that's the air gap adjustment on there. That's pretty easy. Now this isn't going to come all the way off because not yet, because the end of this line is over here on where the flywheel on the back plate, but we'll get to it right here. Now there's this right here is a little protector for the wire, goes down over that, and then now we have the wire. Now we can pull the wire out of the there's a little holder right here for the wire. All right, there we are. Now I can I don't know if this is, if I have to take this completely, the screw completely off, or on the points, or just loosen it a little bit. I think it's just, yeah, I just have to loosen it a bit, and I think that'll pull out. Yeah, there we are. There we are. All right, so there is the coil, and that's, and the coil screws, and that'll all get cleaned up. We're going to probably leave the, oh, look at this. In here is a little bitty, this right here is magnetized, which is good, but that goes with the handle parts. So I'll put that back in with the handle parts. That goes up there, that helps, that helps somehow. Let's see, what did I do? Oh, okay, the coil. The coil and screws. Let's see, 2 screws and the coil. Will it fit in here? Might have to go into a little bit bigger bag. Yeah, here we go. A little bit bigger bag. This bag and the things and with the screws and really works out well. I used to put a little piece of paper and say exactly what it was and everything and where it went. But I've done so many of these now, quite a few of them. Wouldn't say so many, but a lot of them. So if you ever have to remove these 5 screws on this back plate, you're going to find out that you almost need a special type. Those are called a posi drive. It looks like a Phillips, but it's called a posi drive. I think we're going to end this right now because I don't want to pull this cylinder yet, because I really want to clean everything before I pull the cylinder. I'll bathe it and whatnot. So a place like this scarred up place, that's from the chain running off of there. They're not having the chain tightened right, maybe loosen it up and whatever, and it scars this up. I'll clean that really, really well and wire brush it, and then I'll fill it with JB Weld and sand it, and it'll be good as new. That looked like about the only damage, and that's not too bad in comparison on a lot of these saws. So I think we're going to call it a, the director is going to call cut, and that's going to be it on this part of it. We might do another video after it gets clean, after we start cleaning it up and getting the, I usually always hand sand it or strip it with aircraft stripper. I don't blast anything. I don't like it. Just personal preference. But I'll use an epoxy primer on it, and I'll clean up the cylinder and everything else. So before that goes, so now it's time for me to let you guys go and clean up my tool bench. See y'all. Bye.